What's going on, guys? Coach Vic here. Welcome to HITtalks, baseball's mental performance podcast. In this episode, I bring on Coach Jordan Perry, 21-year-old coach out of Burrell, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. Coach Perry and I have an incredible conversation getting into his history and being a third-generation coach in his family. Coach Perry and I have been talking about mindset and what it takes to be the best coach that we can possibly be, and also share the deeper meaning of baseball and coaching and what it means to us. So I think it's an incredible story to hear. We are definitely going to get together again. He was great to have on, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already and smash that like button. Follow us on Instagram at Ferrante Baseball or follow Coach Perry at Coach JJP. So feel free to reach out. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Coach Jordan Perry. Hey, thanks for coming on. Uh, why don't you tell me about yourself and your background a little bit?
Coaching has been something that's been in my family for as long as I can remember. Growing up around the game and having a love for the game at a young age. Grew up playing the game. Straight out of high school, though, kind of took an unconventional path. Jumped right into coaching. Had an opportunity to coach alongside my dad at Penn State, New Kensington, which is a small Division III branch campus of Penn State University. We inherited a program from scratch, so it was definitely unique being the kind of building that culture and just building a program, really, and also unique for me being that I'm a guy that I'm the same age, if not younger than some of these guys I'm working with. So it's definitely unique. But something that I learned early on was like, it doesn't matter what your age is or who you are, because as long as you have the best interest for your guys and you have their back, then you're set. That's all you really need. And
Yep.
then, so following my tenure there, I got an opportunity to coach at Springdale High School, which is a small high school in the area of Western Pennsylvania where I reside. Thankful for the opportunity given to me by Coach Berger. Unfortunately, with everything going on in the world right now, wasn't able to actually get into any games yet with those guys. But it definitely an opportunity I'm thankful for, and looking forward to continuing that, hopefully into the summer and or fall.
Yep. That's awesome, man. Like I said, it's impressive that, to get into coaching at such a young age, to have that mindset that you want to give back, that you want to help the younger players, despite how your playing career went, because I think
Yeah.
that we get many players, myself included, we so focused on our own results or our own career that we don't really, even though coaching is still a career, so you still care about your career, but it's a career that's dedicated to helping other careers, right?
Yeah.
It's a unique thing in someone your age. So I admire that. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
Yep.
it. Because and it's basically just like, it's from what information that I've acquired in my life being around the game of baseball that I want to give back to others. I think that if you kind of maintain a positive outlook on things, that doesn't have to mean that you're cheery 100% of the time, but if you're able to exude that confidence onto others, then they're going to feel that in them. And I think that can go a long way, honestly,
Yep.
for especially like high school kids. They're very they're very influenced by looking around at what others are doing. And
Yeah.
like another thing is, how are your best players on your team reacting? Because I think that's a huge thing. As a coach, I feel like I can talk all day long to these guys, and yeah, some of it'll do good, but in my opinion, the biggest thing is the way my best player leads by example. If my best player down on himself, talking shit on the other team and being disrespectful, then what do you think the other guys are going to do? Because they look up to him, because it's usually an older guy and he's been around the program, and they're going to look at what he's doing, and then that's how they're going to carry themselves.
It feeds down the ladder.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's kind of what goes hand in hand with, like, when you're, if you're on a good team or you're playing against a better team, sometimes your team plays better.
Yeah.
You're feeding off of your rising to the occasion. And like you said, the energy, like, within the team to the leaders, or the leaders, it doesn't mean that they're actually leading. Like you said, there's the best players typically get the respect from the younger players,
Yeah.
but not because of character. Usually it's because of their skills. They respect the skills.
Exactly.
But
And
that's
if you're the best player, that doesn't mean necessarily that you're the most vocal guy either. But it's the way that usually the way that they're approaching practice, and even some, like a little drill that other guys may not seem as essential, if they see their top guy going all out on everything that he does during practice, that's going to make them, I feel, follow in his steps. And like you said too, like the best players on the team may not always be the leaders. The leaders may be a guy who isn't the most talented, but he keeps the guys up, and he's always the first guy off the bench to dap up his guys coming in off the field.
Absolutely. There's that misconception that, like, the leader needs to be the best player.
Yeah.
But here's the other kicker: is somebody really the best player if they're not a team player?
In my opinion, no.
No, but we and even myself included, we always say, when we talk about best player, or even the worst player, or the average player, we're bundling up their physical abilities, again, putting it in a box and calling it average, calling him the best. It's not that simple. You can't do that, right? Because you can't throw labels at people when you're not accounting for every single variable of the game. It is important to be a team guy. It is important to mesh with your teammates, to pick up your teammates, because one person can be the worst player ability wise, can be like the 9-hole hitter and the guy riding the pine. But if he has the character and the energy, and he truly, genuinely cares for his other teammates, and is not bitter that he's sitting the bench, that he's just happy to be there and support his team, that guy is no longer the worst player on the team.
Yeah.
We don't know where he falls, because it's wrong to even make a label, because you don't really know. Because what if next year his tools get better, and then he becomes a good player, or an average player, or better than average player, but you were calling him the worst player the year before, so that means you're wrong, because you were wrong. Don't even label somebody as the best player, because the next year they may suck. You don't know that, right? It's not a finish line. Say this guy's good, this guy's average, this guy's bad. Because most kids, like I said, they only evaluate based on the physical tools, physical skills. And it's just not accurate. What we value as players, as young players coming up, is a little skewed, is a little off. We're a little off course.
Right.
And I think having the major leagues in front of us all the time, it kind of does that. So you do private lessons on your own, right? You do on the side of your coaching.
Yep. Yeah. So
Do you have your own? Is it your own business, or just kind of just here and there?
As of now, it's just me kind of doing it to help guys kind of just stay in the groove of things. It's definitely something, though, that I'd like to pursue as a business, and some opportunities that I look forward to having.
Great. So then what do you do? Obviously, I've seen you on Instagram. You do hitting and defense. Do you do pitching, or just
No, not much of a pitching guy, but like something that
That's right.
I like to try to pride myself on is not just limiting myself to one aspect of the game. Like, I'm always wanting to learn and always wanting to get better at everything it is that I'm doing and that I'm preaching to my guys. And, like, something I strongly believe in is being a guy that's always asking questions. You can
Yeah.
learn stuff from the pitching guy that you're working with. You can learn stuff from your players even too. So it's just not, you don't want to limit yourself to just your thoughts. You can take stuff from everybody. Even if you don't think you can, you will.
It's a constant interaction. It's not just one side. And like I said, that's a problem with a lot of coaches or just people in general. They only care about what they got to say and what they think. And what they think is right and everybody else is wrong. And they're done learning because they know everything. Right? If you knew everything, or you believed that you knew everything, you would know nothing. Which I think that's actually somebody famous, I think, said that, right?
I've heard
Something
that.
along those something along those lines. Um, it's when you think you're done. If you're no longer seeking answers, seeking information, then you're done learning, and then you're limited. You now have a ceiling.
Yeah.
There's so much in this life, and there's so much we can learn about ourselves, about our bodies, about our minds, about the world that we live in. That to ever say that you knew anything with 100% certainty is a little bit, you can argue that.
True.
Right? Because even scientists will say this, that the more we learn, the more we realize how much we do not know.
I agree. And like, it's a part of like broadening your horizons too.
Yeah.
If I'm just limiting myself to the people that I work with in the Western Pennsylvania area, and that's nothing against those people, but you can learn so much. Like, people say all the time, it's a small world. It really is. There's so many people and different places you can go to that you can learn from and get better. And like, surrounding yourself with people that are maybe more talented than you, more wise than you, you can learn from them. Like, that's the kind of people that you want to be around because you're bettering yourself off of that. And a point that we touched on earlier, I don't know if it picked up with the recording, but is just not waking up every day to be average. It's something that's pinned to my Twitter account. But it's not an easy thing to do, especially with what's going on in the world right now. You can very easily just wake up and say, yeah, I'm just going to lay in bed today, watch Netflix. But it's just, if you don't challenge yourself, your mind, your body, then you're just going to wake up every day to be another average person.
Yep. Totally agree. Talk about learning about the people around you, right?
Yeah.
There's a saying, a quote that floats around. You are talking about in terms of income. You are the average. Your income is the average income of the 5 people closest to you, the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, obviously, I'm sure there's exceptions to that, especially if you're like a kid living in your house with your parents making $100,000 a year. It's a little bit different, but it's so true though, because you feed off of those people around you. So, for example, they say never be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, get a new room.
Yeah.
And be sure that you are in a room with people that are smarter than you, that are more advanced than you. And it doesn't mean that they're better than you. It just means that they're farther along in their learning. Their journey has taken them. They're just further down the road. That's all.
True.
A lot of people think that because okay, somebody could say about you and me, all right, well, I played 10 years of pro ball. And say, well, maybe Coach Vic knows more than Jordan Perry. I only maybe know more, which is also debatable, because I've experienced more. I've been on the planet 14 years longer than you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it has nothing to do with me being better than you. But see, people say that, like, oh, he's better, he knows more than it. But that's so wrong.
I think that's just a really like small-minded thing to think.
Yeah.
Like you said about how if you're the smartest guy in the room, usually, like, if you're the guy who's going around saying, "Oh, I'm the smartest," I'm the smartest guy in this room. I don't need to listen to all this. Then usually you need to look at yourself in the mirror and do some self-reflecting there. Because if you're the one who's always having to tell everyone that you're the greatest, then I think you're covering up your own insecurities there and trying to build yourself up.
Nailed it, dude. Absolutely. Yeah, they're trying to position themselves above the others. And I think you become a great coach when you are no longer trying to do that, or you never do that, right? You're never trying to position myself as like authority over other people. Oh, I'm your coach, so you listen to me.
Right.
No, that's not why you're coaching, right? You're coaching, of course you want to, if needed, right? You need to, if you need to discipline a player for whatever reason, that's a different story. But like, you're not there to be in a position of power. It's not an ego trip that you're on, right? If
Absolutely.
anything, you're trying to tame everybody else's egos.
Yeah. Yeah. No
trying
doubt.
to
No doubt.
trying to keep them at bay. And I think, I hear even my wife works with, she's a teacher, high school teacher, and there's stories we talk about people and just people that we work with and stuff like that. And it's a very common thing where you'll hear people that they try and constantly position themselves over others through bullying. So essentially, they're bullies. They just like to nitpick everything that you say, discredit you, and you're gonna face that. If you haven't faced much of it, you said you faced a little bit of it already, where it's like, well, this guy, what do you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
What does Jordan Perry know? And it's like, well, hey, I guess you're not going to find out.
Yeah. No doubt.
And so that's
Because
their loss.
yeah, it's their loss, and they're choosing to judge you, and they don't even know you.
And they have no idea. You could be studying the game, which you've been in a family of coaching. So your coaching skills are probably, and even just looking at your Facebook or your Instagram, it's like, you look like you know what you're doing, and you know what you're talking about. And like, again, it's not the information. It's like, don't shoot the messenger here. If you're passing on quality information and you do it in a way that has nothing to do with your ego and you boosting yourself up, and it's all about making those players better, if that's not for them, then they can go to somebody else. Then go pay
Exactly.
$200 an hour to the guy who has all the experience but doesn't know how to coach. Let's try to take
Yeah,
your money.
absolutely. Absolutely,
So
because there's been a ton of cases that I can think of where maybe there's been a head coach somewhere at any level, and they'll say, oh, this guy, he was a former pro. That's awesome. That's great. But unfortunately, sometimes that former pro may not always be the best in a coaching scenario. It's not to say that he can learn, but sometimes that can be kind of overhyped in my opinion.
absolutely. Yeah. Like me, for example, when I first got done playing pro ball, I would not have been a good coach, which is why I wasn't drawn toward it. I gave it a shot for a minute and it just didn't feel right. I
Yeah.
wasn't there yet. And therefore I wouldn't have been a good coach. It's not that I didn't care, but I was like, again, too concerned with my own career, how it didn't work out, and just personal stuff just needed to get sorted out. I wouldn't have been a good coach, but I still would have had 10 years of playing experience, professional experience, but I
Right.
would not have been a good coach. And I don't think I think until I got that mindset that I was like, man, I started to believe in myself more, but I also started to believe in the potential of others, that everybody has the ability to reach their potential, whatever it is, or essentially even potential kind of puts a cap. There is no potential. To be honest, everybody, it's limitless. It's how long you want to put into the game. How many hours do you want to put in? How much focus do you want to put in? And some people can do it to an extreme like level. Some people are just it's unbelievable how much effort and how much discipline and how much somebody can improve in a short amount of time. But then you can put that over the course of 5-10 years, let's say 15 years, maybe you get a Hall of Famer, maybe you don't, or you get some inventor or a book, an author, somebody that's a great writer or the great musician, that's how they become great. They don't become great overnight. It's the result of years and years of dedication and
Yeah,
focus.
yeah, and
Um,
to somewhat touch on a little bit of that, because I think this got cut off from earlier, but at the end of the day, as a coach, like obviously the goal is to win and to be the best that we can be. But at the end of the day, most guys are going to look back on their baseball journey. Now, if that ended in high school or if it ended at a pro level, they're going to look back on the memories and the relationships that they've created with guys through that time. Like, for example, I'd much rather be invited to a guy's wedding 10 years down the line and be his best man rather than having a perfect record. Obviously that's what we're going to strive for. And I'm one of those guys, I hate to lose more than I even want to win. But it's, when you look in the grand scheme of things, it's so much more than just the game side of it. It's the people and the good ones that you meet along the way.
Yep. I think again, that's just kind of focus and it's kind of having a purpose or even a mission. Why do you want to be out there? How do you want to be remembered as a player? Right. Most, if you're somebody that says, oh, I want to be remembered for having a blazing fastball and tremendous home run power. All right. Well, you're going to be forgotten very quickly. If you're the type of guy that I want to be remembered for being the hardest worker, just being a hustler, right? Playing hard, always being positive, supporting my teammates, like
Right.
those types of things, like people will remember you, and you will build friendships because of those characteristics that you embody rather than the tools.
You're not the guy that may not have the physical attributes, and you have to look at things that take zero talent at all. That's being the hardest working guy. That's running out every ground ball that's hit. And like another thing that I can go off of that, like for guys that may have an aspiration of like playing college ball, I can say like I've done some recruiting, and a lot of the times going to a game and I'm singling out a player. I'm watching a lot of the stuff that he's not even doing while he's in the batter's box, for example. I'm watching
Yes.
how he's interacting with his teammates. I'm watching even like little stuff, the way he's wearing his uniform, his body language it's another huge thing because and if the guy that I'm there to see isn't doing that, there's a good chance I might see another guy there that I've never seen before in my life that may stick out to me for those reasons.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, you're ahead of the game as a coach too, I think, because most coaches don't, like I said, again, not just coaches, people in general aren't aware of those things, body language, preparation. So like, I'm sure you're kind of referring to like on deck. What are you doing in the on deck circle? What are you doing post at bat? What are you doing after a strikeout? What are you doing after you get a hit? Like what do you do? Because most of the time, the everybody's focused on the hitting and what it takes to hit a ball, and that happens in like a millisecond, right? Split second. But
Yeah.
it's everything that you do before and after that really dictates your success.
Yeah.
Because getting hits are great. They do help. They do help the team, but it shouldn't be your main focus. You should be focused on having quality at bats. You should be focusing on doing whatever the team needs you to do in that at bat. Guess what? It just so happens there's a lot of overlap. What's good for the team is good for you. And what's good for you typically is good for the team, but not always. You can hit a home run and be down by 10. And that's great. It's good for you, but it didn't really do much, too little, too late.
Right.
So always thinking about doing what's best for the team will always result once obviously if you execute, you will get something that's good for you
Right.
in
Yeah.
return. It doesn't usually go the other way as much.
Yeah. And like something that I think can be kind of overlooked too, like in terms of the recruiting aspect of things, is a lot of these times if a scout's going to a game, especially like if a college scout's going to a high school game, that's probably maybe his first and only time he's seeing you. So you better make the most of that impression. Now, he needs to also realize that if you go over that day, that's part of the game, obviously, but you need to excel in all those other things and make the best first impression that you can. Because if you don't, there's another guy out there that will.
Especially as a hitter, you're not going to succeed the majority of the time. So the odds are when someone comes out to watch you play a game, you're not going to succeed that day, at least in terms of, hits for the day, right? Odds are you're not going to perform pretty
Yeah.
much, right? You're not going to have a great day. So if depending on where your focus is, if you're a type of player that doesn't just focus on batting average, doesn't just focus on getting hits, then I'm going to try to impress this guy when I'm just going to get on base. And however I get on base, I'm going to get on base. I'm going to show this guy I can play. Or not even thinking that, to be honest. You shouldn't even be thinking I'm going to show this scout. No, it should just be you playing the game to the best of your ability in
Yeah.
every aspect. When you're done hitting,
Every time
you're a
out.
base.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get on base, you're a base runner. When you get out or you score or the next inning, you're a defender.
Hmm.
Right? You're switching back and forth between the roles within the game and not bleeding them all together. Whereas like if you don't hit, you have a bad game. So it's like, how often do you ask a kid, how'd you do today? For example, if you ask a kid, they're going to say, oh, how many hits they got. Who
Yeah.
cares how many hits you got? You could have lined out 4 times. How'd you hit the ball? How you seeing the ball? Right? Did you get a sack fly, a sack bunt? Did you like, how many pitches did you see? You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
those things aren't as attractive, though. That's the part of it, is like, they're not home runs, they're not hits, they're not doubles, they're not RBIs. So they get kind of discarded as being unimportant.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's just that small-minded thinking, unfortunately, that a lot of coaches go off of, and it's unfortunate, but you can only control what you can control. Um, like, for example, you're not, as a player, you're not always going to agree with where your coach may have you in the lineup, for example, but just say he has you hitting in the 9-hole. Okay, I'm going to be the best 9-hole hitter in the conference, and I'm going to make the most of it, because in retrospect, this doesn't really matter all that much, because after the first time through the lineup, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't
So
matter.
yeah, it doesn't. It
More
doesn't.
than likely, especially in the first time through the lineup, that could very easily be the third inning. You're leading off the, or I'm sorry, I guess you'd be the. Do you lead off that way? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You could potentially you lead off, one of the innings, and then now
Yeah,
you're a leadoff hitter. It's
yeah,
like it only matters,
absolutely.
like you said, that one time through, but you get so caught up in it, and we let our ego take a hit.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm hitting ninth. Oh, that means I'm the worst. No, it doesn't. If you think that that's what it means, then that's how you're going to end up playing. Like you said, buy into it. Lead off, I have to turn the lineup around. I need to get it to the top of the lineup. So when I'm up, if I'm up 9-hole with 2 outs, my goal is to turn this thing over, get to the top of the lineup. And it's again shifting your focus. I can't have low confidence if I'm thinking about how I can help my team.
Right.
Confidence, if you are feeling down on your confidence, is because you're thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It may not be what others are perceiving either, and like
Mm-hmm.
you never know. You may not think as a high school player may not think this, but you never know who's watching when you're playing. You don't know who they know. So it's a matter of just like we've been talking about, playing the game the so-called right way, because, and that may not mean what someone else thinks it means, but it's just a matter of doing something that makes you stand out, I think.
Yep.
Kind of what I wanted to wrap up on for like anyone. It doesn't have to be a player. Anyone who's watching this right now is, I want everyone to do this. I think it's healthy. It's something I've done. is to write down on a piece of paper, you write the question, what is my why? Take some time to think about what your why is, whether it's something you're passionate about, something that you do every day. You write this down, and every night before you go to bed and lay your head on that pillow, you look at that piece of paper and you say, this is why I do it every day. That's my why. So just a little food for thought there.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Just at the age of 21, like it's impressive to have that mindset and that outlook on life and the game. And I think that like you're on a track to of limitless potential as a coach. Like I said, when you think you know everything, you're done. As long as you know that there's always more to learn, there's really no limits, right? Our physical abilities are limited at some point, right? They can be stretched and stretched and pushed, but here mentally with your mindset, it's limitless. The only thing is that eventually we'll run out of time,
Right, right.
in our life.
Yeah,
But for the most part, it's a limitless learning, and to be able to at such a young age start passing that down, sharing that message is just huge. And I think you're gonna make a big impact in this game, or at least just on the kids, even if it's just your local kids, even if you're just a high school coach, the impact that you can make is unlimited.
yeah. No, hey, I greatly
Yep.
appreciate that. It means a lot. And, it's just something I strongly believe in. Everything in life happens for a reason. It's hard not to be down these days, with what's going on in the world, but trying to find that positive because, everything does happen for a reason, man. And, you know, the fact that our paths were able to cross over something like this, that's awesome.
It is awesome. Yep. Especially from two different, obviously very different backgrounds. You're kind of just at the beginning of your career. I'm kind of like, finished my career as a player. And so we have completely different, not so much different journeys, right? But
Yeah,
ultimately we're in a very similar mindset where it's like, it's not really about us anymore. Obviously we care about our careers. We want to build careers around this, which I think is totally fine. Some people are like, some people make it, oh, but you charge people for, lessons and stuff. Why don't you just do it for free? What do you mean? I
yeah,
gotta eat, man. We gotta
yeah,
feed a
right.
family. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I wish I could do it for free, but I mean, like at some point, you have to make it a career so that we can put more into it, right? If we are successful coaches in terms of business, we can give more to our clients, to our players, to our athletes, the people that we come in contact with. So it was great that we were able to connect, and start to build a relationship, to reach out to one another. Like I said, we can do this. Definitely, we should do this again. Um,
no doubt. Yeah, I'm down for sure.
all right, Jordan Perry, man, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Uh,
hey, it was great chatting with you. And once again, just
absolutely.
really appreciate the time and
Absolutely, man.
forward
It was a
to
pleasure.
continuing this relationship. So thank you.
Yep. Absolutely, man. All right. Well, let's be in touch. Let's get on that Instagram live soon. All right, man.
No
You let me know
doubt.
a good day.
All right, I will.
All right.
All
Cool.
right.
Sounds
Have
good.
a good night.
All right. You too, man. Take care.